Great goal. Dion Dublin. Classic header. No more than Coventry deserve. They've been knocking at the door, and now they've found the way through.
It goes towards Best. It's 1-0 to Coventry. The man in the mask has broken the deadlock. Jamie Allen threads the ball through. Fantastic finish from Matty Gordon. Barely 90 seconds gone.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Sky Blue Fans TV, episode 196. Unfortunately, this is not a particularly nice episode tonight. We'll be talking about the very, very poor 4-0 defeat against Stoke. And joining tonight, being joined by regular Mr. Ken Stewart. Ken, good evening, sir. How are we doing?
Good evening, Mark. You all right, yeah?
Yeah, not
happy
bad.
as I could be, I suppose. Very miserable weekend.
Yeah. It's been a very miserable weekend, and I unfortunately travelled with the Stoke fan yesterday, so he was very happy and enjoyed his curry, and I had a very miserable evening. But never mind, all things good. We got on quite well tonight. I've also been joined, special guest tonight, Anthony, Operation Premiership Hornsby. Anthony, good to have you on, sir. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks, chaps. Yes, Operation Premiership indeed, even if it did take a hit at the weekend.
Yeah, still on. Never know. When against Swansea, it all changes again. So let's be positive. So tonight's agenda, we're talking about the game yesterday against Stoke. Second half of the show, we're talking a bit about Legends Day. We've got a video of Doug King at the after show at the casino. And also we've got a competition as we approach 200 episodes of Sky Blue Fans TV. We're launching the competition to win 10 prizes, so that will be all will be revealed later on in today's show. So let's start off with the game against Stoke. Let's just start with the teams. That was the team that was announced ahead of the game. One change from the game against Blackpool. Matty Godden comes to the team instead of Tyler Walker. Otherwise, an unchanged side. Chaps, start with you, Ken. Was you happy with that team?
Yeah, I was happy at the start. Yes, I was quite happy. So I'm also happy when they played two up front, but it just didn't work, did it? You know, I just didn't think it worked. And perhaps in hindsight, maybe we should have just gone with the one. It's easy to say it now after the event, but in general, I mean, all going well, I would have been happy with that team if we all performed to our capabilities. As we all know, they can, but unfortunately they didn't, and it all backfired. But in general, I was quite happy with the team selection. But obviously, for whatever reason, we can't put our finger on it. They just didn't perform on the day, unfortunately.
No. Anthony, what was your thoughts behind the team lineup? Was it a team you'd have gone for if you did Mark Robinson's position?
Yeah, actually, I thought Walker did well in his last outing at Blackpool when he was involved. But to me, Matty Godden's a goal scorer, and if you're asking me which one I pick, it's Matty Godden if he's fit and available. Definitely, he has been a bit off the boil recently, but I'd still pick him in the team and give him a run out. So I was happy with the team. I was confident. Actually, when you mentioned the teams and what I thought, it was the Stoke City one that surprised me the most. I saw the name Nick Powell in the team, and I was a bit worried when I saw him that he was going to be starting, because I actually thought he was still injured. So they had some strong players themselves, and that was a surprise that he was playing. I'm not sure how much we would have been prepared for that, because I thought he was out for a while.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about Dwight Gale as well, because he wasn't in the team or the subs bench as well, and he obviously got a couple of goals against Sunderland as well in the previous game. So yeah, I think I said in the previous show I would have gone for Tyler Walker, because I thought Walker didn't do much wrong in the previous game against Blackpool. I felt my thinking behind it would be that he's got really 7 or 8 games as it was yesterday left to really prove himself, to knock on the doors to Mark Robinson and say, give me a contract for next season. So he didn't get the opportunity. I thought he was a little bit unlucky, but I get the reasoning for Matty Godden. He did score and he's a goal scorer, so there were reasons for that. I guess the only other player I was a little bit unsure about was Dabo, but obviously we'll talk about Dabo later. I didn't think he had a great game at Blackpool, and yesterday wasn't much better either. But I guess you could say the same for the other 10 players. Okay, so let's go to the game. So really, Stoke score early on through Jacob Brown on the 6th minute of the game. Great cross from Tyrese Campbell and Jacob Brown on the far post to tap it in, really. From our point of view, Ken, any complaints about defensively? Could we have improved that maybe in terms of the build-up? What could we have done?
Yeah. Well, for me, they just came out the traps quicker than us, didn't they? They were first to everything, and to be honest, they looked like they were the home team. You know, if you was a stranger in that stadium yesterday, they'd thought like we were the team that are sort of playing for nothing, and you know, and they were the team that were going for top 6. So they just, you know, they were on it from the whistle straight away. We were very lethargic. We wasn't on the game at all. You could tell straight away. As soon as that ball was kicked, that they were high pressing, they were chasing everything, and we just wasn't on it. We just weren't on it, and it was a poor goal to concede. I mean, it was a good goal from their point of view, but it was a poor goal. We gave the ball away, and we didn't get it back, and then they just crossed it, and it was an easy tap in the end, wasn't it? But it's just poor, you know, and to concede the goal. That's what we didn't want, you know, to concede the goal first, because we all seem to have an uphill task, and you know, trying to chase the game when we concede the goal first. But I think if we score first, we settle down a lot better. But yeah, it's just what we didn't want, and it gave their crowd obviously a big G up, and they got behind their team, didn't they? Which everything went against us.
Yeah, I thought from what I saw of it, I know it's easy. And I watched the game, I watched the highlights. There's 2 things for me about the goal. Dabo doesn't really get out to Campbell that fast. He doesn't close him down. He's a little bit slow to react for me. Maybe slightly harsh. It was a good cross, in fairness. The other thing is no one's picking up Brown. You know, on that far post, he's got between McFadden and Callum Doyle. Easy finish. Where's the marking? You know, you need someone to get out and get that ball out for a corner, because it was a really good cross, but he was unmarked on the far post, and he cannot afford to let that happen.
No, and they were on it. They were on it, weren't they? Yeah. From the whistle, they were on it, and we weren't. Well, simple as that.
Yeah, I mean, listening to George from the Stoke fan who came on the previous show from Potterlytics, he made the point about Stoke were going to play a higher pressing game. He said to us before the game started that that's the style Alex Neil was looking to play. And I think there have been times when we've played against sides that have been adopted the high press. I remember Burnley earlier this season played a very high press game, and we couldn't cope with it. We couldn't pass through the press. We then resorted to long balls, or it will get passed, and then the ball goes out for a throw, and then we're on the back foot. And that's what happened yesterday. It was constantly all the time. We're losing possession very, very easily. Anthony, your thoughts on the goal? What was your thoughts from what you saw of it?
Well, I'm taking it half a step back even further in that I feel like there was a foul in the centre of midfield, and we just seemed to stop for a half a second, and that gave them the opportunity to get the ball out wide to Campbell. And then when that ball did go out wide, our midfield just didn't come across, nor did the defence, to be fair. So it was 1-on-1 Dabo with Campbell, and I think you were right in that Dabo didn't close down, he gave him a bit too much time, didn't get close enough to him. And then, you know, you're looking at what happens next. I think it is a great cross. It's a fantastic cross. I mean, I'm looking back, and I might be being a bit harsh. I thought maybe Wilson might have been it because it wasn't too far away from him. Might have had half a mind to come for it. I'm not going to berate him for not doing so, because the cross was good, and it was really, really difficult in that kind of corridor of uncertainty, as they say. But then actually, and you made the point about Fads and Doyle. Now, Fads is the centre back closest to it, so he's obviously going to try and intercept it, and he's a tall lad. He tried it, he couldn't get there, fair enough. Doyle can see that he's going to do that, but he could also see Brown, the scorer, and he didn't pick him up. And so I think if you have that many things go wrong in one attacking play, then you know you're not going to help yourself, and I think that's where the goal came, albeit from a very good cross.
Yeah, I think that's probably a lesson that Doyle has to learn is seeing the danger. I think he just hasn't read the danger. And it's a harsh lesson. It's a bit of, you know, it's something he needs to learn. But he's a quality player. We can't fight any player off. But it's you know, it was an off day for him, but it was an off day for everyone at the club. It was a poor day, unfortunately, on Legends Day in front of some greats of our football club.
I think maybe that goal that we conceded in and everything that I just kind of mentioned in that, kind of stopped when a foul was a foul, but it wasn't given, so they didn't play on. But we were too slow to react. We didn't get the midfield and the defence set, and we didn't go out enough. And so. And that kind of, if you think about it, is how the game went and continued. So it's interesting that happened, and that was the first goal that they scored. And I think there was just more of that afterwards.
Yeah. There coming some comments from our audience. Thank you for your comments, and please keep commenting. We'll get as many as I can read out. Glenn, evening Glenn, was yesterday one big April Fool's joke? Well, unfortunately, it wasn't April Fool. It actually happened. I did see an April Fool saying that the game was called off. Well, probably.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Looking back now.
We wish that was true.
Yeah, I wish it was true. Glenn's thoughts were, my issues were Robbins dropping Tyler Walker and total lack of input from our bench to change the game after it went 1-0 and Stoke running riot. Get stoppage of the game some way and regroup. Yeah, I mean, I think Tyler Walker. That's not the reason why we lost the game. I just think we just, for some reason, after it's another game or after a break for a World Cup or an international break, it's another game where we just don't turn up. I mean, it's the same as the Reading game, but yeah, disappointing nonetheless.
I think you can get away with probably one or two players having a bad game, can't you? And you can, but when you got the whole team not on it, as they were yesterday, we were all struggling to pick them out of the match. I mean, at the end, but because they were that poor. And you got no chance if it's got that amount of players just not on it for whatever reason. Then you're going to struggle, and that's exactly what happened. There were just so many players had a bad game, simple as that, and it just happened. Unfortunately,
I think in fairness, though, you've got to give credit to Stoke. They were fantastic.
Yeah,
they were a much different side than the team that played when we played them at their place previously, where. Even in that game, Stoke were a better side first half, and in the second half we managed to take control. But they were a much improved side, and I think Alex Neil, you can see they look a team now. They probably won't get in playoffs this season, but if they keep that group together, you would say Stoke are a side that maybe next season could be banging on the door, certainly for the playoffs at least. They look a really good side, and certainly one of the best teams I've seen this season at the CBS. I think maybe Burnley or Norwich were very good as well, but they were up there. They were fantastic. I mean, how impressed with you with Stoke were you, Anthony? They were great, weren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And like you guys touched on already from the get-go as well. But you always expect a good game against Stoke, wherever they are in the league. They might lose games, but they don't lose them easily very often. And then even more so with an Alex Neil team, the Sunderland team that got promoted and the Norwich team that got promoted as well. He puts good teams together and he gets results and gets performances, even if he doesn't get the results in some games. So, I was really, really impressed. You look through their squad list, they've got, Josh Laurent is a good player. Nick Powell, Ben Pearson's a Premier League player with Bournemouth on loan. Dujon Sterling, we know he's capable. Will Smallbone, good player as well, an international with his nation. Yana Hoover, another good player. Wilmot, good player. Tyrese Campbell, Jacob Brown, Phil Jagielko, even at 40 years old. You go through the side and you look at the team. They've got good players, so it can't be unexpected that they're gonna win some games and play some really, really good football. Yeah, all right. They obviously have come a bit undone over the course of the season, and I think they've made a few additions, obviously in January as well. But the only thing I'd be surprised about is that we conceded so many, and I think a lot of that was because we didn't play very well ourselves, even if Stoke made it difficult for us to play at all. One thing I noticed is that all of their passes were very accurate, and our passing, we just couldn't get it together. And that was from the start as well. But again, having said that, I think that was to do with them closing down and not giving us time on the ball, like you mentioned, and us having to go a bit longer. But there were some instances, even around the back, Nani missed controlling it and it going out for a throw or something. It just was very uncharacteristic for us.
Yeah. No, I thought that were good. I thought it's disappointing, but it is what it is. Let's move on. I think, in all fairness, Ken, before the second goal, they had Callum Doyle heads one off the line. I think Wilson makes one save for a corner. it could easily have been 3-0, even 4. I mean, I thought at half time it could have been 4 or 5. It was just
Easy.
so one-sided. It was unbelievable. And then we concede the second goal. Well, obviously, we all know who's at fault for that one. I mean, it's just one of those ones where another day is offside, he gets it right. But, as you can see on replays, it was level. So it was a bit disappointing, wasn't it? It's just very risky, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, I say, so we look back at when I first seen it, obviously, and most people in the ground thought that's got to be offside, and Lino's made a mistake there. But looking back, Dabo stopped, hasn't he? He stopped and he's played him on, and only just, it was close, but he had played him on by the looks of it, and that's the golden rule. You don't stop, you play to the whistle, don't you? You shouldn't stand there with your hand up and hope for the flag. You should carry on playing and track back. But he made a mistake there, and we got punished. And obviously he's clear through, and 9 times out of 10 they're going to score, and he did. So it was just one of them games where everything went wrong for us, and everybody seemed to be having a nightmare. And you just think it's just not going to be for us. And from when that second goal went in, we didn't really create anything there, did we? That was the problem. We didn't look like we missed that creative. The O'Hare. I know the O'Hare's missing, and that's and then Jamie Allen's missing as well, which is a massive blow to us. The sort of player, and Casey Palmer as well, the sort of player that can open up teams. We missed that. I mean, we didn't have any. So the communication between the midfield and the two up front, the ball wasn't getting there, and Big Vic hardly had a sniff, did he? They did a job on him, and it was just, it was just one of them games. We're just gonna move on and forget about it, aren't we?
Yeah, I just think we just played like a bunch of strangers in the first half.
Yeah.
There was no cohesion, there was no movement. It was just we just didn't know what we was doing half the time. It was pretty poor. And I think that's something that's got to be addressed for Friday's game, because we cannot. That's not an acceptable first half. You can't. Look, end of the day, we're still in a good position overall, but you can't legislate that first half. That was just, it was a disgraceful first half in my opinion. It was very poor, and we've got to be better than that.
For me, a lot on the second goal that you mentioned, I thought the timing of it as well. If we had gone in at 1-0, we're very, very much in the game. Anything can happen, but to concede a goal in such a manner just before half time, it brings heads down a bit more as well, whether we're making chances or not. You've got 45 minutes to get back in it. So that was also what quite frustrating for me as well. But yeah, I agree that it's what 16-year-olds do in their first 11-a-side matches. When offsides start coming in, you put your hand up and stand there and hope that it goes. So to see Dabo do it was quite disappointing.
It was a sucker punch as well, because it came from our corner as well. So all our defenders were up for the corner.
Very similar to Vic's goal against Wigan without the slaloming, I suppose.
Yeah, that's right.
It was a really good pass there, wasn't it? I can't remember who passed it for them, but it was a really good pass.
Yeah, it was the Hoover lad. Yeah,
the Hoover and Key Hoover, I think. And I think it was Tyrese Campbell who had the freedom of Coventry to do wherever he wanted. Really, he could have passed it across to, I think it was I can't remember his name, Jacob Brown. I think it was. It was unmarked, but it was a confident finish.
But it's unlike us, isn't it? We don't normally concede goals like that. We haven't lately, but it just shows you we weren't on it. We just, as players, I don't know whether because of the break. Anthony, do you think it's because of the break? Maybe.
Do you know what? I think we have to.
Every time we come back from a break, after the time we come back from a break, we struggle, don't we?
Yeah, 100%. It's the same as the World Cup. Obviously, the World Cup break was longer, we had a very similar run to what we did going into this one. And then we've had the 2 weeks off now, and we've just come back and we've not been at it. I don't know what we do. I mean, the first time we went on holiday and at a training camp. Second time, I'm not sure. What I will say is, the likes of Gyökeres hasn't really had a break because he's been on international duty. Callum Doyle was with England under 20s. That was Norton Cuffy. He didn't play. Howley was with Wales under 21s. So we've got that calibre of player that perhaps isn't there. But two of them didn't start, and two of them did. But that doesn't sake for the whole team's performance, does it? So it's interesting to see what we do. I'm sure we probably would have done something different to last time because of what happened as well, and because of it being shorter. But it's still whatever's happening doesn't seem to do. But Having said that, you can't account for the performances and the endeavour that we didn't put in, whether there's been a break or not.
No, you're right.
Good.
That's right.
Going to bring in some comments here from our audience. Keith Ray, evening Keith. I've always said on a day we could beat anyone. Yesterday was just not our day. Bad day at the office. My dad always said that you can only play as well as the other team let you. It's not over. Sky Blue Army City till I die. Yeah, I think Stoke were just brilliant. I think we're just outplayed. Sky Blue Sam, as bad as Cov were, we have to give Stoke massive credit. Alex Neil got his tactics, formation and personnel spot on. Caused us problems and negated us. Robin, the coach, has got schooled by an experienced manager. Possibly. We'll talk about substitutions that in a bit. The average commentary fan, that sort of result has been coming for a while. It's been poor. Been poor the first half against Wigan, Blackpool, Rotherham, Luton, Hull in recent weeks. I think that there is a kind of thing. I think a lot of games I feel when I watch us play in the first half, we just seem to just struggle to get a foothold in a lot of these games. We just don't seem to be on it. I don't know. As I say, I think that's a good point. There's been a lot of games I've seen this season where there's been too many games the first half where we just, we look like we're going to concede every time the opposition attack, and I think that's something we're going to have to improve on if we want to.
I think we are a team that plays better on the counter attack. We are a team that allows the other team to have more of the possession because of that and because of our abilities, and we are a team that. A defence can soak up a lot of the pressure most of the time with the clean sheets that we've got in doing so. So I think maybe what the point there that the chat made is that it's probably our tactics to do that. Stay in the game, keep it close. And I don't know how many games we've won by 1 goal or 1-0 this season off the top of my head, but I think that's maybe what we're doing. Don't try and outgun or try and outscore teams. But try and stay in the game and then see what we can do from there. Going back to the point about if you go in at 1-0 down, you're still well within your rights within a game.
Yeah. Want to bring to the second half. So 3 changes made personnel wise. Bidwell for Will Snezbrand, Ryan Howley comes on for Eccles, and Michael Rose for McFadzean. What was the deal with McFadzean being substitute? Was it an injury? I didn't hear what actually happened with him.
No, I don't think he was. I don't think he was injured. I hadn't heard he'd been injured. I think it was a tactical change. Maybe he wasn't getting much change out of their strikers. They were giving him a bit hard time. Maybe obviously his age takes into consideration as well. And I think it was just a tactical change. He brought Rose on instead. So. He wasn't having the best of games, but he could have took anybody off, really, couldn't you? Because they were all having a bit of a nightmare, to be fair.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So at the end of the day, we haven't got a great bench to choose from. We haven't got, obviously, because of the injuries, but I suppose he just had to bring on whoever he had on the bench available to make a change, fresh legs, and go from there. But I say we're missing obviously vital players.
Oh, go on, sorry. For me, I think that the Fad's going off for Rose. I believe Rose is one of our fastest players. And with Brown and Campbell that were running at us all the time and getting into the channels, to me, it suggests that might have been tactical in, taking Fads off who hasn't got that pace, bringing Rose on to deal with that those runs, because they were running at us all over the place. And I think Rose, if I'm not mistaken, is one of our fastest players. And so that was a tactical change. But, unfortunately, he got a yellow card pretty quickly as well. So that kind of didn't help things, which I don't, and to be fair, I thought it was harsh as well. Wilson Esbrand going off of Bidwell, I think was for me a smart move. I like Bidwell. He's played probably the most games out of anyone this season, I think, actually. He's up there like 35, 36 appearances. But Brown had him in his back pocket, and a lot of the long balls that Stoke played when they needed to, and from goal kicks, was going to our left back in the air for Jake Bidwell against Brown, and Brown was winning them, and then they kept on getting a lot of throws, so they'd gain yardage and things. So that was difficult. And obviously Howley for Eccles. I don't think Eccles did a lot wrong, but he also didn't do anything. I think in the first half. So, and I think we don't have a player in the team at the minute that can play that centre attacking midfield role, but I know Howley can play that perhaps, and it's not Eccles' most natural position. So I think that was just to try and get him a bit closer to the strikers and have a bit of a link up there.
Yeah.
Was it? I mean, mine is like, my personal opinion is why wouldn't they put on, say, Walker on as a third striker? Why didn't you just go for it? Why don't we go 4?
It's a good point. It's a good point. We could have had Walker one side or in the middle and Godden on the wide, and obviously Gyökeres can play left wing, so we could have gone with a 3. I suppose tactically we're just not used to playing that, are we? That's my suggestion. But
Yeah.
2-0 down at home, you've got to take a punt.
Yeah, at 2-0 down, the next goal's vital, isn't it? You've got to try and score that next goal to get back in it. At 2-1, you've got a chance. But if they score like they did, then it's all the plans go to pot, sort of thing, if you like.
Yeah, I thought. I mean, to be fair, I thought the second half. I thought we actually started off well. We couldn't be any worse than we were. Dabo missed a good chance, left foot shot. I was literally from where I was sitting. I was thinking, I was waiting for the ball to get in the back of the net, and it just went wide. Sheaf had a good shot, saved well by the keeper, and he just felt it wasn't going to be our day. And that was probably our best start. I actually thought Wilson Esbrand was probably our best player actually in the second half.
Yeah, he did well when he come on. Yeah, I thought he did well when he come on. He's got on the ball. He wasn't scared to receive the ball, and he was quite positive, wasn't he, going forward?
I'd agree that he played well. He was positive going forward. He knows how to beat a man and attack him. He's perhaps more of a natural winger. And I thought he did play well. The one thing I did have, and I only realised this when I watched the goals back, is for the fourth one, when I believe it's Hoover scored, Josh Wilson-Esbrand lets him cut inside him too easy and doesn't track him back, and then obviously skips past Doyle after that and scores. So that... But other than that, I think he did really, really well in the second half. As did Howley, in my opinion. I thought he did okay when he came on, so that was interesting. But yeah, you mentioned the opportunities we had. Sheaf was unlucky. He almost had a carbon copy of the goal that he scored at Blackpool, and I think the keeper saved it for a corner, didn't he? The Dabo chance, I feel sorry for Dabo. He's had a lot of games and he's still on -2 goals after that performance at Oxford way back when he scored 2 own goals. So he really needs a Coventry City goal, and I thought it was going to come, and he was unlucky. But again, having looked back, there was 3 players, Coventry players, and 1 defender on the 6-yard line. Maybe, I mean, he wasn't marking all 3 of them, but maybe he put it there instead. But the defender goes to the floor and it falls on him, and he has every right to take that, to be fair to him. So and then obviously Gyökeres had that chance as well, that the goalkeeper somehow was facing the other way and still managed to save it.
and if one of them goes in, you're back in the game, aren't you? And it could have changed, but in hindsight, but once you get 1 goal, you're back in the game, and it could have changed the whole course of the match. The way they played and the way they played. But it didn't, unfortunately, and it got worse, didn't it?
Yeah, certainly did. Could bring out some more comments. Got one from David John Percival. Evening, David. It's like any job, players have off days. Let's not get too critical after 1 defeat in 10 games. We go again on Friday. 7 big matches left. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. It was a bad day at the office, but look, every team will have a bad day at the office. We all have a bad day in our jobs, as he mentioned there. So, fair point on that. Christopher Raffle, I'm just going to bring him in. Can't win them all. I don't believe we're ready to go up. And the saddest part is that we'll rumoured to be losing Vic in the summer. We'll see. Obviously, we'll see on that. We'll cash him in. We've actually cashed him Doug, and we're a lot stronger as a squad this time next season. We lost to a form side, and then they spent a lot of money last season. We've done well. Our new pitch will be fine. I mean, you have to remember, obviously, that the Stoke have been, unbeaten. I think unbeaten in 5 games, and you can see why. I think they look a really good side. I said on the previous show that I thought it would be a tough game, and I wasn't wrong. I didn't feel I thought maybe at best we'd get a draw, and unfortunately we didn't get a draw. So. Glenn said Stoke were the best side that he's seen at the CPS for 90 minutes. They should have won by 5 or 6 given the chance they had. I think that's fair enough. Joe said that it was an indefensible yesterday, I guess, with regards to performance.
Undefendable.
Undefendable. Sky was saying playing long balls to Godden doesn't work. Godden doesn't work without O'Hare or Palmer, not a partnership. Jamie,
it's an interesting point.
Yeah, I mean, was Jamie Allen? I thought he was coming back to fitness, or is he?
I think he's still.
Well.
I think he's close, but I don't think he's quite there. Maybe might be in the squad for Swansea on Friday, or maybe Watford on the Monday. So he's not far away apparently, but he didn't quite make the bench. I was
surprised not to see him on the bench. To be fair, but yeah, if he's not ready, he's not ready. It's an interesting point about Godden and Gyökeres. I think in their own rights, they're both good and both have qualities. I just feel like there's some, Lampard Gerrard scenario there where they're just together. They just don't seem to be on the same wavelength. And actually, Matty Godden, I mentioned sometimes that the game might pass him by, and he's not been being as active in our play in recent weeks. I don't think a lot of that's his fault. When you're playing against a team like Stoke who are pressing you and therefore you go long, you're going to go long to Gyökeres. You're not going to go long to Godden. So, and Matty Godden isn't a feeding off scraps and knockdowns kind of player. He's, his special move, and he almost scored from it, was, running in behind on the turn and having that shot. I think in the preview you saw the goal against Sunderland where he done it really well, and he did it in League One quite a lot. And as I say, he almost scored. That's what he is. He's a positional player. He's not running around feeding scraps. So we're asking him to do something that he's perhaps not familiar with, and also isn't his best strength. And if you're not playing to your players' best strengths, then you're on a losing battle. But the difficulty is Godden's strength is that. Gyökeres' strength is that, and he's so good at it. We have to do that as Plan B.
Yeah. I think the point you made earlier, Anthony, about the fact that we're a better counter-attacking team is something that plays to Godden's strength. I mean, I remember a goal looking at like last season, for example, against Derby at Pride Park, where it was a great free-flowing move and Godden smashed into the corner. And that's the sort of player he needs the ball at his feet, And you're right, if you're going to go long, you go Gyökeres, you're not going Matty Godden, because 99 times out of 100, the defender heads it away. So, question here from your average Cov fans, this is probably to both of you. Would Alex Neil do better with our Cov squad than Mark Robins? What's your thoughts on that?
No, not necessarily, I don't think. I think Robins has done a fantastic job, as we all know. And we can't just prejudge it on one game like that. He got the better of us on Saturday. He got his tactics right. He knew Vic was the main man, and he snuffed any danger from Vic out. And he knew the way we played, obviously. So he's played against us already this season. He's manager of Sunderland, won his first game this season. So when we drew 1-1, and Alex Neil was the manager then for Sunderland before he moved. So he knows all about us, and he got his tactics right. He got done his homework, but I don't particularly think he's necessarily a better manager than Robins. No, I wouldn't go along with that. I'd stick with Robins if I had the choice.
I think in terms of the question, would he get more out of this Coventry squad than Robins? I don't think anyone knows his squad better than Robins does. He put it together. And this is 6 years in the making from an anniversary game today, actually, at the Checkatrade. I mean, look at the squad then compared to now, and the level of ability and talent in that. So Alex Neil is a very good manager. I think I mentioned with Sunderland, as you mentioned, going up with Norwich and his work elsewhere. He is a very good manager. He will get very good performances from the teams that he has together. Whether he always gets results is another thing, but as I say, you can always expect performances. But I wouldn't have anyone but Mark Robins managing this squad, really.
Yeah, no, entirely agree with all that. I think that's spot on. Russ Watkin, after early signs of their press, swift movement, why did we not change to counter them, beat the press, a quicker shifting of the ball, or even get them turning? We also got bullied, mentally fragile yesterday, unusual, too many errors. I mean, I think it was just a game where we just didn't know what to do. The movement wasn't there against the press, and we just froze under pressure, which
we did. I mean, it looked like we hadn't played with each other before, and it was very strange, and it certainly caught a lot of us by surprise the way a lot of the players played on Saturday. It really did surprise me.
Yeah.
In terms of the early press and why we didn't change to counter them, that's an interesting point, because I noticed in the first half that we kept bringing the ball quite high up in some instances. So there was opportunities to turn over, but we just didn't execute them very well. I think it was working to an extent. I think Hamer and Sheaf particularly won the ball in some interesting positions, but we just couldn't get in the final third to do anything there that kind of resulted in anything worthwhile, certainly in the first half.
Yeah. Keno Tomo confirmed that Fads was a tactical decision, so there you go. If it was tactical, is that not an admission that really Robins has got that wrong tactically then, if he's saying he's going to suffer tactical reasons? Or did he not think at the start of the game who was going to play for Stoke? I mean, just playing devil's advocate, I think that's pretty poor if that's the case.
Yeah, well, it depends on how the game goes. Obviously, if you lose a couple of goals in one situation, if it was only 1-0 maybe at half time, he might not have done that. Or he might have changed it. He might have different. It all depends on how the game goes, I suppose, don't you? You never know, and you have to do your tactics as you go along, as you watch the game. And he obviously was watching and felt that Faz wasn't on it, which he wasn't, and he wasn't getting much change out of their strikers. Seemed to have the upper hand on him, and so he made the change. So you've got to go along with him. You've got to back the manager in that situation, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it depends how Stoke were going to attack us. Personally, I didn't know Tyrese Campbell and Jacob Brown were that quick. So I think obviously then the tactic is to try and bring them the faster than Fad's Rose on. In terms of his age, and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, Phil Jagielka, the other side of the pitch, 40 years old, because of the way we play, was able to negate Gyökeres's strength and the balls up to him quite well. Him and the other chap, Wilmot, I believe it was in defence. So, whereas because Stoke were attacking us in a different way, we did need to change it. Now, you're right. Do we need to preempt that and suggest that's how they're going to play? Yes, but then also is Fads one of our best centre backs, and would you start Rose over him? And if you would, who's going to question you for doing that? And if it goes wrong, you're going to get it in the neck, aren't you? So it's quite difficult. I'm just playing devil's advocate there. If we saw Rose started and Fads dropped, I think help would have broken loose.
Yeah. That's a fair point. I agree. I would have gone Fads as well. It's just one of those ones where. Fads, it would have been a tough one to drop Fads because Fads has been brilliant, and it's no coincidence that prior to yesterday's game we've been 9 unbeaten, and he's featured in every single one of those games. So it was.
And actually, I don't think he was the worst centre back in the first half. I think Luke McNally was probably lucky to stay on, in my opinion.
Well,
I think he's been
his work, yeah. And he's been on it last few weeks. He's been on it, hasn't he? McNally,
yeah. He's a fantastic player.
Yeah, and even him. It affected him as well. For whatever reason, he wasn't on it either. It was just one of them games. I think we just got to just move on, forget about it, and move on and try and bounce back on Friday.
Yeah. We've got to read out a few more comments and we'll come to a break. Sky was saying, pick the best team to stop the opposition. Not always our best team. McNally was shocking. Best player was Wilson Esbrand, a substitute. He's a starter on Friday for me. Yeah, it's interesting. Yeah. We'll talk about Swansea show in the upcoming pod on Thursday. Glenn said, I think there's an argument to match Stoke system up second half. Go for it. 3-5-2 doesn't really work well about Allen, O'Hare or Palmer. Possibly, but then we've won games without Allen, O'Hare or Palmer is what I would say on that one. Let's see what any more comments here to bring up. Ken O'Tomo feels that Godden is better to come on at the 70 minute to change things up. On Friday, I'd like to see Walker start and change at 70 minutes. There's a few more stuff. Skype was saying, do we make a lot of change for Friday, freshen things up? I think Dom and Alan Dabo might need a break. Well, you say might need a break. We've had a 2-week break, so I don't see really the need for a break because maybe in Doyle's case, yes, because he's played in the under-20s. It's just disappointing result. But we've got to draw a line under it, move on, and then look forward to Swansea. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to talk about Legends Day. Ken will talk about Legends Day, and then we've got a competition at the end of the show. So stay tuned, everyone. Thanks, everyone, for listening, and I'll be back with you in just a few secs. Welcome everyone. Just me and Ken, and just going to bring Anthony back in now. So we're going to talk second half. We've got a video to show. Doug King spoke at the casino after the game. So I was going to play it now. 6 minutes long. So listen and enjoy.
Standings, Nick Cairns, Chris Cameron, Nick Walker, Trevor Peake, Steve Goodwin. I don't know who you are. Jerry Gibson.
I think I just stumbled in the wrong place. Behind me are why we're here today, the legends, the atmosphere up top, incredible. Just back with them, chatting to them for the first time. My first time here was incredible. It's their day. I was walking out and now I'm here after a tough defeat. But listen, I just want to say thanks for all your support. We're beginning, we're going to be setbacks. Don't worry about them. We've got a great manager and we're on the right mission, all right? We've done so much to our club over the last years. They're behind us, they're looking trim, they're looking sober, and they're ready to chat to you. All the best to you, thank you so much.
We've got some new lads coming on today who've never been to Legends Day. They're experiencing it for the first time. And one of these young men
It's come up from London, driven all the way up here today, this lovely lady wife. Who can forget his hat against Liverpool? Terry Gibson! Right, enough! First legend said, I can describe the response from these wonderful fans at half-time in the pitch and upstairs, 704 people down here. It's been amazing, I think. It's a long time since I stopped playing football, stopped playing for Coventry, and who would like coming back to somewhere where people shoulder down and see stuff. So I look forward to coming back. It's a week, it's treat. So, it's lovely. But the best thing that happened to me when I was at Coventry was the supporters. So it's lovely.
That was yesterday's Legends Day there. Obviously, Ken, it was great to hear, great to see all the legends there. Obviously, players going back to the 60s and obviously to play recently retired players. I think you was there yesterday. Was that right, Ken?
I was there. Yeah. We got a couple of photos as well, just to, obviously on the score, but on Legends Day, these are just some of the photos I took as well. Yeah. On the day.
I think that was Miles did the recording, wasn't it? Just wasn't it?
I was doing the record. I was down there at the casino. Yeah. It was me. Yeah, it was down there. Yeah. It was fantastic. It was great meeting them all. I mean, they all was on the pitch at half time as well. Look, those who didn't sit, if you went down for a beer at half time, you missed it. They were all out on the pitch at half time, introducing to the fans, obviously, and then afterwards, obviously, they went all down the casino. So we can, speak to them, get pictures with them and stuff like that. And it's really good atmosphere. It's nice to see a few old faces. Deliela Boda I was speaking to. So David Booth was there as well. Who's been on our show. I was speaking to Ian Wallace and Tommy Hutch again. Hutch was there. We seen him obviously early in the season when he did his book signing thing. Yeah. It was really good. It was really good, and it was great to hear Doug King, wasn't it, down there as well. He came on stage, obviously, and spoke quite well, I thought. He said to stick with the manager, we're going to have setbacks, which we did yesterday. It was a massive setback for us, but stick with us, he says. It's not going to be all plain sailing. We're going to lose the odd game here and there. And that's just hope we don't lose too many. But he can obviously see Robbins is doing a good job. And I'm sure he will stick with him, and just wants the fans to do the same and get behind the team, and we move on to the next game on Friday, don't we, against Swansea? Yeah.
And see Doug King. How what do you think of him? Are you impressed with him? The job he's done so far. I think about 99.9% Cov fans would say he's been a brilliant chairman so far, but work still to be done. But are you encouraged by what he's been saying publicly?
Absolutely. I didn't have a clue who he was when we were linked with him, and when he took over the club. I think I was as quick to Google search as everyone else would have been. And then there were those interesting facts about how we knew Sisu and how they sold in the club. And I think he's got a family member that's got another family member that's married to one of Sisu's family members or whatever. So there was always those tedious links, but they were nothing. And what really sold it for me is he did a couple of interviews, I think, with a few of the local news outlets, and he just seemed genuine in what he was saying, and he absolutely won me over. Then I was won over really quite soon. I think he's brilliant, and I just want to point out that the Legends Day with the Former Players Association is a fantastic day that we have as regularly as possible. I don't think the old owners were going to let them do it this year. This is just what I think. And then Doug came in and I think kind of gave it the green light. So, because I believe some people bought corporate tickets to that game, thinking it was just a corporate game, they were just going to do so. And then it turned out to be Legends Day. So the only way that would happen as if there wasn't going to be one. Do you know what I mean? And also the players that were attending were a bit sporadic, more sporadic than normal. Whereas normally you'd have like a really long list and then one or two get added, but they were adding them as they came along, probably because it was kind of last minute attendance. You know, so that's just the feeling I got. But yeah, I think he's brilliant. Look at the training ground. You know, straight in. I think what's gone on there, and again, this is an assumption, is that he's gone to Mark Robbins. You know, what do you need most? What can I help you to do? The transfer window's shut. I've got you a few loans in, but what can I do to help you? And Mark Robbins has gone. You know, have you seen the training ground? Have you seen? And by the way, have you seen the pictures when they were digging it up? It looks like they're tarmac and brick underneath it. Like what? No wonder why Jody Jones, Biamo, and everyone in the past have had really bad difficulties with injuries and no hair. Yeah, we've been training on about, I think it's like a foot of sand and mud, and then underneath that is tarmac and brick. Like, so, and also, you know, he set up fan zones, which obviously he's been working with the corporate team to do fan zones to try and get ticket prices down because, and it's a difficult one. The ticket prices have been set for the season. You can't change them really, but what you can do is have ad hoc incentives, which have been doing, and I think they've even been giving out free tickets. You know, the North Stand's looking more full than it has for a while. Certainly did yesterday until they were 3 or 4-0 down.
Yeah, I mean the attendance was at 23,000. I think that was our biggest attendance of the season as well.
Yes.
So you know,
I think
good. Yeah, I think it's interesting point about the training ground, the training pitch. I mean, I guess that we've had. I mean, there's been players. I mean, do you think that's a factor? I mean, if we get a training pitch sorted, a proper training ground with decent facilities, that would make a massive difference, Kev, wouldn't it? In terms of
that's it. Yeah.
Preparing for matches, and you know, I think you know if you've got like sand underneath it, you know, it creates a recipe for disaster, doesn't it? Really, because you know anyone with any joint injuries can easily happen because of the impact of that, you know, jumping for the ball and things like that. So it's good to see that's being put in place.
It is, and it's great. I mean, you got to remember, we were the years ago, back in the 80s, 90s. We had a great that Brighton was obviously a fantastic training ground. They had the Sky Blue connection there and everything like that, and it was built, you know, in the Jimmy Hill era, I suppose, and Brian Richards or whatever. We had a great training complex, but obviously that's dated now. Things have moved on. But we haven't obviously updated it as the years went on by, and it looks a bit. It needed basically a nice freshen up. And I think they've realised that, and they've done it out a bit. They've spent a bit of money. They've got a new gym in there. They've redecorated it all, and obviously now they're doing the pitches. So it was well overdue, you know, because you know years ago, it was nice, but obviously that was 20 years ago or so, and times have changed since then, and new equipment's needed. So. Yeah, it's fantastic. It's fantastic to get it all done, and I think it's important to have a good training ground and training base for the players to play on. And I think they need to obviously invest a little bit of money in there, which it looks like they are doing to get it right. And hopefully that will benefit all the players from the youngsters upwards to the first team.
I guess the other thing we need to, Doug King obviously will be on his list of things to do will be getting a long-term ground lease sorted with the Frasers group. I mean that's probably the next thing, isn't it? Obviously for us season ticket holders, it'd be nice if we can get some clarity on that soon. So obviously we'll have to be patient with that.
Yeah, hopefully.
I think reading between the lines of what everyone's saying, it's done, isn't it? Really, but we're just not done yet.
Yeah, I think they've obviously been having talks over the last few weeks and stuff, and I think they're very close to making an announcement on that. Should hear something soon, hopefully, and it should be positive. So, fingers crossed.
Yeah, because I think
it's interesting you mentioned the season tickets, Mark. Just on that, because that is such a big thing. I think that and the price of them as well all depends on what deal we've got, because it is a brand new deal with a brand new owner of the stadium. So we don't really know what to expect. Hopefully it'll be a good one. But that, depending on what we're agreeing in terms of match day revenue, will depend on how much we need to sell tickets for, therefore season ticket sales. If we've got a good deal, maybe prices can stay the same, go up slightly, or dare I say even go lower. If it's not such a good deal, then maybe we'll have to look at the pricing structure and how we generate revenue on match day income. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out.
Yeah, I think in terms of moving away slightly from the season tickets, with the match, obviously there's been criticism from fans about the cost of prices for certain games, like the category games. I think the thing we have to be mindful of the fact is next season, you'd imagine that Mike Ashley is going to probably up the rent. So we can't really go with the approach of having lower price for games, because we need to sell a heck of a lot. We need to fill the ground up really in order to break even, I guess. So I don't see that situation changing in terms of the categorisation of games, because if say for example, for argument's sake, Leicester go down, then we're not going to be charging £25 for them to come and watch their team play or watch us. Not talking about the season. I'm talking about the fans that don't have a season ticket, just want to come to the odd game. It's going to be 35 plus, I would imagine, because we've got to pay for rent and stuff. So it's a difficult one, isn't it? Really.
Well, it's difficult, but at the same time, you've got to remember there is a bit of a cost of living crisis going on at the moment, and they've got to take into consideration a lot of people are struggling out there as well to get to games and pay extortion. I personally don't think. I think £20-25 for a ticket, a walk up on the match day is adequate for me. Anything over 25, I think, is way too much for this league. I mean, you can see even in the Premier League, I think they've got away games that are capped at £30 there, and we don't get that in the Championship. We're paying for QPR, for example, in a couple of weeks' time, we're paying like £36, which is outrageous, and that's a bit naughty. And we do it as well. We charge visiting teams a lot of money because they've got to try and make them as much money as possible, obviously. But yeah, they've got to balance. It's a balancing act, isn't it? And they've got to do it, try and get the right balancing act, and try and please as many fans as they can and get the price right.
I just wonder if there's a way of having the best of both worlds, in that we charge the big teams in Category A the £30 or £33, whatever we think it should be. But, and it was an idea that I saw on social media in the past couple of days, we form some kind of membership that's £50 for the season, and that gives you 10 games where you can buy match tickets at £5 less the price. So that 33 becomes 28, for example, or that 30 becomes, and obviously away fans wouldn't buy it because they're not going to fork out 50 quid for one game, but home fans would, and therefore they're paying a different price to I'm not sure what the rules state and what you're allowed to do in terms of fairness, but or maybe we just do more match packages, and we actually have match packages available from the start of the season rather than the last 12 or 6 games, just to make sure, and you're allowed to go to 2 Category A games and 2 Category B. Is that because, I understand when your West Broms come and your Sunderlands come and they're bringing 4,000 or whatever, and you're charging them 33 quid a ticket to get that revenue. And I don't mind it, because it is a revenue stream that we need, again, especially if we've got a deal at a stadium that we don't own. I think, Ken, you mentioned the Premier League £30 cap there, which is a good idea. I think for me, the reason that is in the Premier League is because match day income for Premier League teams isn't as important as
a lot more
for Championship teams.
Yeah.
So, a team in the Premier League won't need to charge £35 to £33 a ticket, because their match day revenue isn't as important to their whole revenue, or isn't a higher percentage. Whereas for us, I should imagine it's quite a lot. Obviously, the TV money is quite good in this league as well now, so that helps too.
How does 666, seeing some of the lower league ticket prices coming through, I think we can expect an increase next season. I think King even hinted as much as they were cheap this year. I mean, I would expect an increase, but we'll see what happens there. But yeah, it's fascinating. I think we'll have to wait and see on that. But overall, I think Doug King has been brilliant for the football club, and long may that continue. So yeah, going to round up about competition, Ken, that we've got as we're approaching 200 episodes of Sky Blue Fans TV. So just a bit is that there'll be 10 prizes on offer. Just remind me what the prizes are, Ken.
Yeah, 10 prizes. Basically, I'll tell you what the situation is. You get, if you see Miles on a match day, you'll catch him down Dillon's before the home games, or a pre-match before an away game, and you can have a chat to him and talk about the game, and you'll see him. And myself, I'll be at Swansea as well, so I'll be probably doing the camera, and Miles will be on the mic. You just ask him for a business card, which is a little Sky Blue Fans TV card like that. Basically, and it's all our details on the back. Now we'll have some special ones done for the next 2 games, which will be numbered. they'll all have a number on them. So the way it was going to work, basically, if you get a card off him after speaking to us or having a chat with us, just have come up to ask us for a card, and we'll give you a card. Keep hold of that card, and then there's going to be 10 prizes we're going to be giving away in our show on the 13th of April. So we'll be giving cards away against Swansea and Watford on the Bank Holiday Monday. And then on the Thursday, the 13th, we'll be making a random draw with 10 prizes, which include tickets for the Birmingham City game, a family ticket, that's 2 adults, 2 kids. You can also get a £25 shop voucher. There's 4 Sky Blue fans TV tavern vouchers for food at the tavern, so that's a good one as well to win. We've also got some mugs to give away, and we've got some prints of Cost City players from our partners at CSC prints and stuff like that. So we've got a lot of stuff to give away. I said there's 10 prizes. All you have to do is pick a card up. They won't be specially numbered. We'll be picking 10 random numbers on the Thursday show. And then all you have to do then is email or take a photo of your card with the number on to our email address, which is all on the back of the cards there, like that. So there you go, on the back. So simple as that, really. And that's just to celebrate our 200th show, Mark. I can't believe it's 200.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff there. It's been a great ride. Orange. It's been great. It's been great because it's great doing something where we're talking to fellow commentary fans like yourself, like Anthony, and other guests we've had on previously. It's brilliant. I've enjoyed every minute of it.
You need someone more exciting than me for 200.
Yeah. Yeah. Can't wait.
Well, we might have a few surprise guests. You don't know. It was actually yet to be announced. So, but we're giving all these prizes away just for fans, basically. So all you have to say, all you have to do is get a card off Miles. You'll see Miles. You can't miss him. It'll be on match days, pre-match days. We do if you can't make it to an away game like at Swansea, I know it's a sellout. If you're watching at home, he's normally on the air live on our channel. An hour or so before kick-off, talking to fans and supporters. It's really a good insight to the pre-match, and we get views on the team selection and stuff like that. It really is good, and you can soak up the atmosphere at home as if you're there. But yeah, it's good. So, I mean, I say we've got some great prizes to give away. So it's quite simple. Just pick a card up and keep all that card. And if we select your number on the Thursday show, then you could be in line to win a prize. So yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah, so that'll be drawn on the 13th of April. I think that's a Thursday.
Thursday the 13th. I'll show on the 13th. So, yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
That'll be before the QPR game, I believe.
Yeah, so before the QPR game. Yeah, cool. Well, that rounds off tonight's show. I want to say thanks, Anthony, Operation Premiership Hornsby. Hope it'll still be Operation Premiership by the end of the season.
It's not going. It's not going.
Yeah, it's going to happen. The only time you can remove it is when we actually get promoted to the Premier League.
Just to clarify, it's in reference to the little badges that we used to give out. I don't know if you remember them as season ticket holders about 10 or so years ago. It might have been 15 years ago when CC first came in. They gave out little Operation Premiership badges, and I just thought it's ironic, really, given what they ended up doing.
Yeah, I think I remember them. Yeah, to be fair, yeah, I do remember. Yeah. But yeah, we'll get there one day, don't we? We'll get there. I mean,
indeed,
by hook or crook, we'll get there.
Keep the faith. Ken, been brilliant having you on, and everyone else, thanks for listening. Thanks for all your comments tonight. It's been really appreciated. Next show is on Thursday. We'll be talking about Swansea game. Hopefully, we're talking about a win ahead of that one. I'm trying to line up a Swansea guest for that show as well. So stay tuned for that, and keep your eyes peeled on our social media channels. Thanks everyone for listening. Play up Sky Blues, and we'll speak to you again on Thursday night. Good night, everyone.
Play up Sky Blues.